Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, today I wanted to do another article, and I was looking for one, and I kid you not, I looked down the list of articles, and a lot of them were just kind of whatever, right? So I look and look, and then I find this one by The Drum. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. Let me try to look up where The Drum is from. You guys won't believe this. This is another UK moment. There's something going on. Because I'm telling you, I feel like more often than not, it is the UK for some reason. It is so weird. So I literally, the only reason I knew is because they said, I looked it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I looked it up and it said that they started in Glasgow, which I only know exists because Kesha performed there. I know that is like weirdly specific and dumb, but I know that that's in the UK because of Kesha. So I knew, and then they said that their main headquarters are in London, but they have offices in New York as well and somewhere else. But anyways, I think like Indonesia or something like that. But regardless, it's another UK article, so we're here. The UK is really trying to hold it up. They're trying to hold up fat acceptance. It's blowing my mind. Okay. Spare us your Serena Williams row critiques. Adland shows its anti-fat bias every day. Let's go. Of the several op-eds we received about Serena Williams' Glp-1 endorsement, it is this one from a senior comms professional who requested anonymity felt the most introspective. Is Adland suffering from mass hypocrisy when it comes to body weight? Let's see. When Serena Williams was revealed as an ambassador for US GLP brand, I'm so used to saying GLP-1, for US GLP brand Row last week, it felt like LinkedIn had become the Daily Mail comment section. Apparently, it was disappointing. Williams was a bad role model, using drugs that, to be fair, this is also very Britishy, I believe. If I'm right. I think I'm learning. I think I'm figuring it out. I'm going to have to. I go where the FA is. If FA is moving to the UK, I'm just saying, I'm going to have to read articles from the UK. It is weird. It's just very weird. Okay. Let's see. Williams was a bad role model using drugs that could have side effects that aren't a panacea and were designed for diabetes. Weight loss shame oozed its way across the comments. Williams knows her body. She's one of the most scrutinized women on the planet. But society doesn't listen to those who struggle to lose weight. It also won't listen to women, and especially women of color. Even her being an elite sports person couldn't stop the patronizing comments. But that's not the worst of it. So, okay, this is my thoughts already. I'm just going to say people have opinions on things like this about anybody. Anybody could use this. People would have an issue with it or they'd support it or whatever. People have takes on it. They have a lot to say about it. You know, I see tons of stuff on Instagram. I'm really diving into diet culture on Instagram, and it is one hell of a contradictory war. We might have to do some diet culture war videos because there are certain divides within diet culture that I think are interesting. And I'm still in the process of like getting deep into the algorithm. And I do have a video that I'm going to be making a video on Liv as well. And I have critique of Liv. I'm not actually a fan. So I'm sorry if that pisses people off, but it's the case. So, but I will tell you actual critique of what the issues are, or my opinions anyways on those things. But regardless, we're going to be getting into that very soon. But I just wanted to say, people have opinions about GLP-1, regardless of who it is. You could be a basic person off the street. People care about if you used it or not. It is something that people talk about. It's topical. People judge. People this, people that. So if you're going to do an ad for it, you can expect some criticism for it. And I'm sure that Serena Williams knew that there would be some kind of critique, but she didn't care, and she made that decision for whatever reason she wanted to. Okay, let's continue. That's not the worst of it. The basest criticism at all, the most insidious and hypocritical, were from people who work in advertising, advocating for fat acceptance and complaining about junk food culture. Okay. Sometimes these people even supported Serena Williams' decision personally, but felt sad that she had felt the need to do so and couldn't accept her body at a higher weight. These are normal statements, I suppose, if a little patronizing, unless you work in advertising, because then we're deep into a black hole of hypocrisy. Advertising likes to pat itself on the back to say it operates within culture, but we all know it creates culture. So this is really important to understand about fat acceptance. So remember, when I read these, I'm trying to get a big picture, right? So we're trying to look at, what do people say within fat acceptance over and over and over again? And I do feel like written media in particular is more of a leadership. It's in more of a leadership position within fat acceptance. That's why I've been covering it. And as we read these articles, I want to uncover these belief systems further, and especially if they're blatantly stated, like right here. So this is something I've seen within fat acceptance forever. And it probably does have toxic ritualistic roots, but I think it's really important that we understand that this is where they come from. So I completely disagree with this on all levels, basically. But this is certainly a take. I do think that advertising tends to listen to the culture of the time. It doesn't create culture at all. Advertising can be heavily rejected, for example, if it goes against certain cultural narratives or what's in fashion within culture at the time. It happens all the time. So it's clearly not true. But this is one of fat acceptance's foundational beliefs, which is probably why they're so obsessed with models and this type of stuff, because they believe that if you can put the model up that's fat, then everybody will accept fatness, which obviously didn't happen. And every time they did put fat people up, there was a lot of criticism. I remember it every time. So it's just interesting. You have to remember that this movement, it operates within industries, and it operates within, it's almost like this, it's like a glitch or something. It's weird. The way I can describe it is it's kind of like, it's like something wrong in the code of human consciousness. I don't know how else to say that. It's very bizarre. I know I'm getting like really weird and meta. I think it's something that's definitely happening in my Lana era, where I'm just thinking very, very deeply all the time. But there's something about fat acceptance where it's like it slips through the cracks of basic logic in people's minds in ways that it then seeps into a lot of different aspects of culture, be it corporations, be it works of art, be it politics, be it the medical institutions, be it universities, right? A lot of these types of things I've seen, they're very vulnerable to fat acceptance messaging. It is so strange to me that this article is even writing this. It is so bizarre. And the fact that it's writing about it in this way, where it's this deeply introspective, very like emotional way of writing about it, like as if I feel like I'm reading somebody's diary or something, rather than an article. It's not like professional, factual, anything. It's squishy. And that's what we need to understand about the system of belief around the toxic ritualistic and therefore fat acceptance, which has its roots in the toxic ritualistic. But it is interesting. It doesn't matter who a person is, what they do for a living. If they are within the toxic ritualistic, it will seep through. And then with a lot of people, they don't get it. So they're like, okay, so this just goes through editing because people are like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, you had strong feelings about this. I support you. Let's put it through. Because they don't know. But it's very interesting. It's super interesting to see this. I don't know. Sorry, I'm really observing it just from like a meta level right now, like from a very high level. Okay. So if you're uncomfortable with the culture of how we view fat people and think how we market junk food is broken, then people of advertising, the blame lies at your own front door. Please consider the last time you cast a heavier person in an ad. Well, I remember, at least back in the day, remember those Carl's Jr. commercials where they were like, super hot girls or whatever? I'm like, what does that have to do with reinforcing a stereotype? Like, I remember at the time hearing criticisms, there shouldn't be super fit people showing these hamburgers and whatever because that's what makes people fat. So again, even within that, I remember criticism at the time of people saying things like that. It's interesting. Let's see what else they're saying. Just someone going about their day visibly heavier. Not the butt of a joke or for a product designed to make them thinner or for plus size clothes. See, what do they expect? I don't get it. I can save you the effort. These ads hardly exist. Maybe a few here and there via conscious representation in sports or women's health or occasional heavier celebrities. Criticize fashion all you like for its skinny models, but advertising is on the same spectrum. Ads just don't really feature heavier people just being normal. It would be nice if they did, right? Or would it? What? What? Okay, I'm going to be real. I don't watch a lot of TV. I really don't. When I do watch TV, I watch a lot of like Apple TV. I told you I'm a sci-fi girly pop. I've been watching like a Foundation. I'm going to watch Invasion pretty soon. I haven't watched that season. I was obsessed with The Silo. Like, I'm really on like an Apple TV tear. And I don't have a lot of ads, obviously, when I watch that. So I hardly ever watch TV, just what's on TV. But when I do, there's always there's all these different medication commercials. And a lot of those medications, they don't even have to do with weight loss at all. And people are bigger in those commercials. So to me, they're all different kinds of drugs. Like even like a psoriasis cream or whatever. There's fat people in it. So I don't know. Maybe this is maybe it is a cultural disconnect. I've never been in the UK. I don't know what ads are like there. You guys can let me know in the comments if you guys are in the UK. But I see plenty of fat people. Call me the sixth sense, but I see fat people. I see them all the time. I do. It must be a sixth sense of mine, according to this article, but I see them. I see fat people. I really do. I see them every day. So I don't know what the hell this is even talking about. But okay, all right. Would clients even be confident enough to find heavier people's good role models or worthy brand representatives? I always just think of this Jardiance commercial, which I used to always make fun of my mom because she was taking it, and there's a fat woman and she dances, and I tell my mom that she should dance like her, and that's what I think of when I think of a fat person in an ad. And I think that that's just a diabetes medication. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, I guess I flopped. But that's one that stands out in my mind. I don't know. There's a lot of drug commercials here. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you put on TV for literally like an hour, you'll probably see at least 30 drug commercials in the United States. And there's many fat people in them. Many. Anyways. Oh my gosh. Whinge about Williams not embracing. Whinge. How weird is she? Whinge about Williams not embracing her body all you like, but recognize that advertising is helping to normalize the thin-centric culture you're now bemoaning. And as for junk food culture, seriously, trade bodies that represent you are actively lobbying against HFSS regulations. I have no idea. I think I lost some of that. But I guess, okay. Look outside, count. Oh my gosh, this is getting really Britishy. Oh my gosh. I need to it's a little too late for me to be reading this right now. It's a little too late, but I have to film this tonight because I have to go to the gym tomorrow and I have to work a lot. So I'm here. Look outside. Count the posters for fizzy drinks, for fried food, for ice cream. It's even worse in the US, where the ads featuring Williams are running. What? Even worse in the US? What? What? Like they're showing fit people with soda? Hold on, let me look something up. I'm gonna look up some soda ads. 1 second. Okay, so I just looked. I was getting too much retro stuff when I just Googled it. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm going to try to pay attention to if I see, I guess, fat people eating fast food. I feel like that would be offensive here, but I'll look. Again, I guess I'm just not really an ads girly pop. I haven't really been looking at fast food ads and stuff. I see plenty of those on TV too, but they usually just don't show people. I think, I just see a lot of, Little Caesars and stuff like that. And that's about it that I can think of off the top of my head. And they don't really show people in it that much, period. So I don't know. Anyways, okay. Using someone like Serena Williams exposes unignorable biases and hypocrisy, which is what made the ad so powerful and controversial. This is the world advertising has helped create. Don't blame Serena Williams for living in it. Okay, I guess. I don't even know exactly what I just read. I guess I can talk about my thoughts on the ad. I just feel like, she probably just wanted to use it and they probably paid her well. I mean, I think it's probably that simple. I know that that's kind of boring, but I think that that's how a lot of these decisions are made. And I don't know her specific reasons for it. I'm just more so, I'm not even all that interested in somebody's personal reasons for using it. One person, you know what I mean? But what I'm interested in is the reaction to it, which was odd. So, okay. But I still think that we got at least one piece of the puzzle, which is essentially they believe that ads create culture, which I totally disagree with. But I will try to look at ads and see. I mean, I'm pretty sure I see fat people. Pretty sure. But I'm going to pay more attention and see. But I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts. That was... Okay. I think it's one of those cases of it's never going to be enough. it's never going to be enough. That's what I think it is. So, okay. All right. I guess I'll leave it here. Let me know what you guys think about it all. I feel like it's too short. I don't like it being too short. 1 second. Let's cover somebody. Let's do a little bonus round. 1 second. Okay, so we're going to look at her. I think I want to just touch upon, I guess, everything to do with the Serena Williams ad. I want to react to this as well in this video. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. Let's go.
The mask is off. We have officially stopped pretending it's really just about health, and now weight loss drugs are being promoted by an extremely fit, extremely accomplished professional athlete. And I think this is really interesting because as this is happening, I am seeing narratives change about weight loss. Back in the body positivity era, people really just said, I only want to lose weight for health. It's just...
So I think it's so interesting how, again, we go back to the belief that ads create culture. I think that Abby, I believe is her name. Gosh, I'm really rusty right now. It's late. I don't know why I'm doing this so late. I'm crazy. More Than Tracy T / Abby. I think that she's also showing the idea that ads create culture. So I think we can see, as somebody who has reacted to tons of fat acceptance content, who has looked into the toxic ritualistic, I've even had one of you, Elizabeth, you gave a reason. You think it has to do with that comparison aspect within the toxic ritualistic of why media is such a focus, which I found to be very enlightening. And I totally agree. But that's, I think, in part why they believe media, or especially ads, create the culture. Rather than what I see, which is Ozempic has been popular for years now. You know, I've seen it really come up in conversation a lot within the past 2 years. And I feel like Serena Williams is more so kind of hopping on the trend, getting the brand deal, right? Doing this type of thing because it's established. So it's more of an established brand. So if anything, it's more, in my opinion, it's more about the success of the drug rather than the ad itself changing culture. I still think the ad is what is reacting to culture, not the other way around. So I totally disagree, which, you know, we can have different opinions on this, but it's an interesting difference of opinion that I have to the toxic ritualistic and fat acceptance as a movement. I totally disagree with it.
It's just about health. That's all this is to me. It's not about appearance. It's not shallow. It's not about wanting people to like me.
Okay, so all of a sudden, because Serena Williams made an ad, all of a sudden it's not just about appearance. It's not just about this. It's not just about that. For a lot of people, it already was. So I don't know why she's latching on to this.
And then we started to see the conversations shift more to accessibility and privilege, and how people started to acknowledge that being thinner means you will get paid more at a job, most likely. It means it's gonna be easier for you to navigate the world, easier to find clothes, and that...
This is a natural reaction to fat acceptance rhetoric, though. This is what you guys have been pushing forever. So if there's a magic cure, then in general population, in the Gen Pop's mind, I think particularly those who are sympathetic to fat acceptance narratives, they think, oh, there's a drug, just take it, fix it then you don't have to worry about it. Which is not at all what you guys wanted, which is interesting to me. But it's a very obvious logical conclusion. If somebody believes in fat acceptance, and then they believe that the drug fixes being fat, then yeah, that's the next logical step. Okay, then you can increase your privilege, you can increase all these things. If you take the drug. So then we just need to make sure it's accessible to everybody. That's a logical conclusion based upon your belief system. I don't agree with your belief system, so I don't view the drug in the same way. But to a lot of people that do believe in it, they would see the drug that way. But I think it's an unintentional consequence of a lot of fat acceptance rhetoric and the constant pushing that a fat person is so insanely downtrodden at every single waking moment, even though millions and millions of people elect and choose to be fat every single day. So clearly it cannot be that bad. I'm sorry. It doesn't work on me. If it was really that bad, then why aren't you on it then? More than Tracy T, if it's really that bad, right? It makes it even more obvious that you're choosing to be fat now. It was already obvious to people like me who have downsized significantly. But now with the drug there and all that stuff, now it's extremely obvious, even to the general public. And that's a problem for your movement. That's a huge problem. And it's a huge optics fail, for the record.
Acceptable reason to want to lose weight, which I definitely think that is reasonable. We live in a fat phobic world. I get it, especially if you are a level of fat that precludes you from accessing a lot of things. For example, gender affirming care, like travel, all of that, completely get it. However, that sort of accessibility conversation started to trickle down into pretty privilege. And suddenly the accessibility people were looking for, and I'm sorry if I sound really judgmental here, was more about like having drink spot for you in a bar, having the door open for you, dating becoming easier, having more dating options. And recently I saw somebody explicitly make this argument that they were like, I'm on a GLP-1 because I want to lose weight to make my dating life easier.
So it depends on how far this goes, and it depends on, again, now we're getting into aspects of a vanity weight aspect with the drug, which I don't personally agree with at all. And I will never support. I'm just going to be honest. I don't. I think that it's incredibly risky to take something to lose 20 pounds. It's really not necessary. Now, where I think the risk is worth it is when you're bigger, when you have other health issues, right? When you have a lot of comorbidities and all these different things, then of course it's worth it. Then you should look at your options, see what's going on, and then look at what you have in front of you and do it. Do whatever you need to do personally. And, you know, that is what it is. I've already explained many times why I don't think Ozempic would have worked for me at all. I don't think it is the best. I don't think it has the best relationship with your thyroid. I didn't want to have to take like tons of medications with it, which is probably what would have happened to me if I would have taken it. I didn't want to manipulate my hunger cues. I wanted to do it more naturally and like listen to my body, especially due to a toxic ritualistic past that was very deeply ingrained. And so I really wanted to make sure I was listening to my body, which means I didn't want to numb it or make me unable to hear it, because I wanted to focus on nutrition and all these different aspects. And I wanted to know what was going on. More than anything, I wanted to know what was happening to my body, because it also would have affected my activism. It would have affected my ability to talk about the physical aspects of downsizing, because I would not have been able to report to you guys different aspects, and I would not have been able to been at least a control group of one. So even from a scientific standpoint, that is something that I could provide, because I knew I could do it without it. I needed to do it without it for other physical reasons, and I could do it without it, essentially, and I was doing it publicly too. And I even was able to point out, hey, you know, I have a video where I said, is it Ozempic side effects or is it weight loss side effects? And I talked about a lot of different effects that I personally had, and I never was on the drug. So it helped some of you guys who were on it to see what was actually just the weight loss. Because again, it's a bit of a control group. Even if it's just a sample size of 1, it's what I could personally do to help provide clarity to it. So always remember, the only time that I personally judge somebody who's using Ozempic is if they're doing it for vanity, purely. Then I do judge. I think in that case, it's way riskier than what is necessary. And so I can't support it. That's just what I'm going to say. And people can get irritated with it. I don't care. That's my opinion. But as far as like, you're diabetic, you have insulin resistance, PCOS, you have other issues, you're just very, very big. You know, even the size that you're at is dangerous. I understand it completely. It just, like I said, it wouldn't have helped me, especially since a lot of my hypothyroid symptoms were mental. I had a lot of mental health issues due to the hypothyroidism that would have been exacerbated by Ozempic or not being able to control the flow of downsizing, which is what I personally needed. So I had tons of reasons for not taking it. And the biggest one was probably my thyroid, because I needed to be able to control how fast I went. And you can't always do that with Ozempic. So it's really important. However, remember, I have family members that use the drug. I have zero judgment at all, or, have a family member that uses the drug. Zero judgment whatsoever. You have to be extremely careful not to be ING on it, even at a diabetic dose. And I warn against the toxic ritualistic overlap. It's really important that you view the drug for what it is. And a lot of people don't. So just be careful with that. If you have that past, if you have that present, be very careful. Those are my thoughts on the drug. I'm not against it at all. I'm not. But I am against the mystification of it. I'm against the glorification of it, as well as the demonization. I'm against both sides of that polarity. I don't agree with either one. Okay, let's continue.
So that I have more options of partners than people who are specifically attracted to plus size people or people who settled for me as a plus size person, whatever. So I think it's really interesting that we're now at a place where it's socially acceptable to say I want to lose weight so that people will like me, so that men will like me. Because I think
it's also a reaction to fat acceptance rhetoric. So what did you expect? If people believe it, then they're going to act upon it, because guess what? It is changeable.
We're in a very hopeless moment and everyone's kind of given up on changing society. There were a lot of flaws with the body positivity movement. We all kind of realize that, I think. And
I don't think that's true. I think that there's still a lot of fat activists that are focusing on changing society. We just read an article that was focusing on changing society, wanting to use advertisements to change society. But there's plenty of people that are still focused on it, and they have institutional power, and they are trying their hardest to do it. There are also people that are toxically ritualistic that want to change society. There are people who are trying to change it into the reverse direction, who are, I will say, like Liv Smith, I will say it here now, she's way too squishy in her language around it. I will make a video pointing out what I'm talking about. It's very, very, very squishy. And in some ways, I've seen she advocates against calorie counting and all this stuff. It's giving intuitive eating, which, intuitive eating and toxic ritualistic go together like oil and water. I'll put it to you that way. Your intuition is not accurate when on either end on all sides of the toxic ritualistic, your intuition around food is off because you are crazy when it comes to that. You're not thinking clearly. You need something objective to look at. She doesn't have that, which she probably doesn't for the sake of marketing, which I'll get into when I do my video on her, which I'm going to. I'm just trying to find what exactly I want to react to. But those are the things that I've seen. I'm not impressed. I'm not. So, again, I don't care what direction this is. I don't want it to go into a toxic ritualistic direction. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening? If things go hyper-reductive again, then in another 10 years, it will happen again. Fat acceptance will come back again in another form. And it could be even worse. We need to find a happy medium. We need to stop going back and forth. It doesn't work. It's not healthy. We need to understand what average is. We need to understand how to get back to average. You know, I was looking at pictures of people from 100 years ago, 50, 60, 70 years ago, right? Like pictures from the 1940s, pictures from the, like, you know, just long ago, right? Long time ago, way before the obesity epidemic. And what do you see? Most people are, the young ones, they're very skinny. They're like skinny, like there's like a lot of skinny guys with abs. And then there's a lot of thickies. There's a lot of people that are thickums. And that's normal. That's what you tend to see. That's an average person. Most people were not elite athletes. But I see a lot of people, particularly Gen Z, they're pushing this idea that everybody should be elite athletes. Or that, I think, no shade, but one of you commented that, I feel like one of you guys commented something that was alluding to the fact, it was alluding to the idea that an average body fat for a man should be between 10 to 15%, which is very athletic. That is not realistic. So we have lost realism. And I'll be the bitch in the room to tell you, like, I'm a thickums, you know? I could have been in one of those pictures. You need to realize, like, not everybody is, we're never going to be at a place where every single person is athletic, you know, an elite athlete. That's never going to happen. It blows my mind. You're going to go back to skinny and thickums. That's the real goal. That's the average. That's what most people are going to be. That's what most people were throughout history. We're not going to go to everybody having abs and tons of muscles and all that. That's never going to happen. That takes a lot of work. So I don't know if Gen Z needs a reality check or they're just too into the algorithm or something, but you need to understand when you see people that have abs and have all this muscle and all this stuff, that's a very low percentage of the population, and it probably always will be. And it's not a realistic goal to act like everybody needs to be that way. And no, if you're average, you're not fat. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. That was a rant. Let's keep going.
Ultimately, fat phobia was not defeated. So I think a lot of people are just like, well, even
and
if
yeah,
it's
so
not
your goal
for
was a total fail. And you guys flopped. You still flop. You continue to flop every single day. And if anything, you created a situation. You know, I was one who always said, I don't think it's going the other way, but I'm starting to believe people that say it is. It's not going. I think I'm going to be fighting against the other side pretty soon at this rate. You guys have failed so radically that you're creating a backlash, basically. And then there's going to be a backlash to the backlash, and there's going to be fat lash, you know? And that's probably their goal. But I'm a little concerned. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't concerned at first, like 2 years ago, but I almost feel like fat acceptance is constant. It's almost like witchcraft. It's like an invocation of the reductive side of the toxic ritualistic. It's like they've been summoning it for 2 years. They've manifested it, and I see it now. and I'm a little concerned. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to do my best to try to remain balanced here. But there are some problems brewing in diet culture. I'm seeing it. You know, I'm going to be honest, and I will definitely talk about it. We're going to talk about it and tell me why I feel like it's going to piss a lot of people off. And they're just going to tell me how fat I am. But anyways, let's just continue.
Even if it's not for accessibility, even if it's just because what I want to access is confidence, and what it'll take to access confidence is being smaller and more socially acceptable and getting more praise from the outside. Then that has become okay, because everything feels so hopeless and we're in such a dog-eat-dog world that I think people are just now finally full mask off. I think being thinner is better and looks better.
I think it's true in some cases for sure. And I think if a morbidly obese person is saying that, they're 100% correct. You know, if we're talking about other people who want to aspire to being an athlete, or they want to be in, you know, elite physical shape and this type of stuff, I have no qualms about it. My qualm about it is if you say that everybody has to be like you. That's not realistic. That's not a fair standard. You can't expect parents in their 30s and 40s with kids and a bunch of stuff going on to have, you know, non-natural, non-natty bodies, you know, with steroids and stuff. I mean, you can't expect everybody to look like a fitness Instagram influencer. It's never going to happen. It's not a fair standard. If we go back to skinnies and thickums, you know how many health problems would be solved? You know how much less pressure that would take off of our society. That's the goal. It's not all about vanity. It can be about vanity on an individual level, but when we're using a drug that does carry risk for that, I have problems with that. I do. When you should not risk your health for vanity. I don't agree with that. I just don't. That's where we get into toxic ritualistic territory. And I am reflecting a lot on my own relationship with beauty, on my own relationship with what I'm currently doing. And I will definitely be reporting it to you guys, but I'm thinking about it very deeply and very seriously. And I'm really thinking a lot about it on a philosophical level and stuff, because I do think it's important for me to know why I'm doing what I'm doing and to be able to present that to you guys as I strive for above average, which one of the biggest reasons I will say is because I'm an activist and I do feel like I need to have a higher standard for myself. That is one reason, and it's a real one. But anyways, let's continue here.
And I want to be a thinner person so that I can access the treatment thinner people get. I want to be loved. People are finally just being like, I'm getting thinner because I want to be loved, and no one will love me if I look like this. And you know what? As someone who has always been fat and probably always will be, it's hard to see that, how many people believe that they cannot be loved if they look like me. And, you know, it's hard to see partly.
Do you ever think it's not about you? My biggest issue with this type of thing is being thin is not everything. It's just not. Getting to that point of just being an average looking person, it doesn't solve everything in your life. You know, I've had a very interesting relationship with society since I've reached what I call thin, which is basically normal. Okay? I know that within thin, people have different views on what thin is, but as somebody who used to be huge, I think I know what thin is. Probably more than a lot of people. It just means you're normal. I don't say I'm athletic. I don't say I'm snatched. I call myself a thickums, you know? That's basically it. I wear a size medium and I wear a size large for my shirt, medium for my bottoms. Basic bitch on the side of the road. And the normality of it all, it is interesting because it's different than flopping in my mid-era. My mid-era was not necessarily, it was average in the sense of America, but it wasn't average in the sense of an average body because it was still overweight. It was still very overweight or pretty overweight. And so now it's like, oh, I'm just a basic bitch, you know? So it's the difference between flopping and being completely average. And when you're flopping, there was a lot of comments on my body. There was a lot of stuff about what I was doing. And now it just all went quiet. And what you experience is just being treated normal. That's what you experience. What you do with normality is up to you. If you don't have any riz, if you don't look good, if you don't have anything to offer somebody in a relationship, I mean, we're just going to be real about it. Other than being average, that's what I hear. When I hear people say thin, I hear average. If you want to say athletic, sure, okay, then your body's more of a plus, right? But when you reach thin, there's no plus or minus. It's all you. And I've really had a magnifying glass on myself since my Lana era began, where it's like, oh, this is me. And I think a lot about the rest of my life now. I think so much more about everything outside of my weight because there isn't much to say. There isn't much to think. And then I sit here and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about this. What am I going to do? Or why am I doing this for vanity? And I think about it. It's very existential within the journey. It's been intense at times, but it's not bad or emotional. It's just existential. What is the purpose? What is the point? You have to ask yourself that a lot in a vanity era. What is the point? And you gotta have a point. And you gotta have a goal. Otherwise, it can get real bad. That's my opinion.
In the way that I feel sorry for them, and partly in the way that it makes me question everything in my life, because if everybody is so certain that it is impossible to have a good life while fat, I'm like looking around and I'm like, my life must be horrible, and I don't even know it because I've never experienced anything else. You know what I mean? And that's how it trickles down, and that's how it kind of will get into your head. And you know what? You can do whatever you want to do, and I hate that I have to give that caveat because as I wrote on my Substack recently, I think that caveat is sort of a fatphobic dog whistle that we all have to make sure that bodily autonomy is still here. Like, guys, I'm not telling you not to lose weight. You don't have to do anything a stranger on the internet says, by the way. People on the internet tell me to do all kinds of crazy shit, and I don't want to, so I don't. You don't have to do anything anyone's telling you, and no criticism of what you are doing means you have to stop doing it. You are your own person, and I should not have to make that caveat, but I do, apparently. Anyway, it's just kind of a watershed moment, I think, the Serena Williams thing, because it's become abundantly clear that people just want to be attractive and accepted. And is there anything wrong with that? It's very human. No, there's not. But it also constitutes giving up, I think. I think it constitutes giving up.
That judgment. Look at her. Oh, so sweet. We're supposed to run into your sweet, loving arms. Oh. Look, if you're having a vanity weight era, you need to have a purpose. There needs to be a reason. Is it for your work? Is it for yourself? Is it for... Really, one of those two things is typically what it's going to be, because it's usually not the most practical, if we're going to be honest. It takes a lot of dedication. Your margins are typically very thin, pun intended, and it takes time, and it's difficult. And for me, it's I think to a certain extent, I'm getting more comfortable with the part of myself that does want to look better. I do want that for myself. And I reflect on that because I think for so long in my life, I thought that it was shallow or dumb or stupid or something, or the pursuit of beauty just felt like a betrayal of the self, in a sense, which I can see now that that was very toxic ritualistic. Without that, though, what does the pursuit of beauty mean to me? And I think to me, it represents, in a sense, finding myself further. Finding the part of me I always wanted to find. Or fully expressing who I really am to the core. That's where I think it comes from personally. Now, work related, it has to do with being an activist, and it has to do with setting myself at a higher standard. I need to show you guys that it's possible. I need to show you guys that I've done it. It will help give me more credibility, which is very important in what I do. And I need to experience it so I can talk about it as well, which helps with the actual rhetoric and everything that I do. Experiencing it myself is the best way I can know, personally. So I'm happy to be experiencing the entire spectrum of downsizing. I'm very happy that I was able to do that I've been able to do that, and I need to see this to the end. I don't feel that it's done. I don't. And it won't be done for quite a while longer, because even still, there's going to be some maintenance phase things after this too. But regardless, those are quite a few reasons. As far as like, when it comes to other people, sure, I think it's great. It's great to try in terms of like, maybe you want to impress somebody else, or maybe you have a romantic interest and you want to impress them a bit. I think that that's fine. Or maybe you just want to open up your options a bit more, or you want to give yourself more of an edge. I think that that's fine. But I don't necessarily think it's great to just give it up after you find somebody. You know, if that's your only purpose, then you're just going to be like, okay, whatever, I'm not single anymore. I'm going to just gain weight. We see that all too often, and I don't think that that's good either. Like, if you're at a level that you're going to maintain forever, like you're just average, and that's fine for you, I think you should find somebody when you're average. Because if you don't want to hold yourself to that standard, then don't try to find somebody that would only want you at that standard if you're not willing to stay there. That's my opinion. It's just not practical. But I do have a higher standard for myself for all of those reasons. For some spiritual internal reasons, and for activistic reasons, and for work-related reasons, which those are all going to go into the decision, because I feel like I should do better. I should do better for you guys. You guys watch what I do. Some of you are members, for example, so you directly support what I do, and I want to do right by you guys. I just do. I care about that. I really do as well. So here we are, right? But that's all stupid, and I'm just giving up, according to Abby. So go ahead and look down on me, Abby. Go ahead.
On making a better world where muscular women aren't shamed and told they're too manly. It gives up on a better world where people are able to access healthcare, because we do trials on fat people. And you know what I mean? Like, I needed emergency contraception recently. Fuck, this is vulnerable. And I couldn't get it because I'm fat. So I'm just hoping I'm not pregnant now. And if that was available to me, if they worked on solutions that worked for more body sizes instead of just telling you to change so you deserve it, We could have had a better world, but right now, nothing.
I think that if you guys would have maybe focused on actual practical things, but you couldn't have because it's toxic ritualistic at its core, then maybe things would have been different. If you offered actual issues that had actual solutions, then maybe there would have been answers. But instead, you pushed it too far. You told people that they have to find you attractive and things like that, which she didn't specifically do that, but many did. You shamed people for losing weight, which she just did. It creates a backlash. And now, I may have to do some work on both sides. So you make my work harder. But of course you do.
Nothing about this world feels good, nothing feels better, nothing feels like it's ever going to be, and I feel like that is a huge part of why we are where we are, and people like even fucking Serena Williams, who is in an extreme position of power, are wanting to be smaller just so they will be liked or accepted or viewed as attractive by a larger amount of people. And it's fucking...
Is that why she said that she did it, or are you just assuming it? I would ask, maybe. Just a thought.
sad. I'm sorry.
Okay. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. I know this is a weird style of video, but whatever. Here we are. I just was feeling it in my heart. I will talk to you guys again soon. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. I know this is kind of long, but you guys like longer ones anyways. So, loves you all. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.